Hey, Jason Wood here, the VA loan guy and host of the Armed and Ready podcast. Today we have a really exciting episode for you. Come on and take a look. Today's guest, Army Lieutenant Colonel Scott Nelson, retired. Really cool story. Can't wait to share some of his background and what he's up to today with all of you guys. So Scott, thank you so much for joining us, man, all the way from Colorado Springs.
Absolutely. It's great to be here, Jason. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your story, your military story and how you got into the military, what you did. And
I did 28 years in the Army. I deployed to Iraq. I only did one tour. I know there's a lot of people probably listening to your podcast have done a lot more than that. So I was appreciate their service. We've only, did one, but trust me, that was plenty. 2015 decided to retire, and I had done a lot of work out at Northcom out in Colorado Springs. I grew up in Montana, so for me, it's very similar climates. And for somebody with my background, I'd gone around my last 4 years. I traveled around the country and trained what's called the Homeland Response Force and the SBIRNI Enhanced Response Force package. So National Guard training with the National Guard guys. So I was able to go through and do that, and have since transitioned over to a different branch, an individual training branch.
What kind of takeaways or advice would you give to somebody who is, they're pressing on to do the full term in the military, and you did 28 years, and it's not easy to get to the 20-year mark, let alone beyond that. But what would you advise people or give them, some words of wisdom to maintain that career and keep pressing forward?
As you're going through in your career, you want to go through and do it. I just tell you, financially, it is the best thing you can do. I mean, to be able to know that you have that check coming in every month gives you a peace of mind that I can't even describe. Now, granted, retirement's living on 50% of what you couldn't live on before, right? But it's still 50% of what you couldn't live on before instead of 0% of getting out. When I got off of active duty, after 11 years, and I was in the reserves for about 2.5 years, and worked as a district manager for a Federal Gas Company, and realized I really missed the uniform. I missed the structure. I miss the people as one of the things I really miss, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, and the sisterhood that we have in the military. So I think some of that exists, depends on what company you get into, or if you get into your own business, which, even though I was in the military, my wife and I, we owned our own little espresso stand. We've been in the restaurant business, things like that. So, I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial bent, even though I was in the military. The military was there to pay the bills, and the entrepreneurial side allowed me to follow my passions and things that were important to me. So that's a long answer to your question, that it is definitely worth your while to go in and take the 20 years to go in and get that. Like, if nothing else, from a financial standpoint, it's great for your kids. If they're having to move around, it makes them a little more resilient, I think, than most kids that are out there. And then again, focus on the family. Make sure your wife is on board with you to do that, or your husband is on board with you as you go through that, because, we can't do it without the family. There's no way. So.
Yeah. That family support is paramount to that success, right? And the longevity in your career. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you kind of hit on, a good segue into what you're doing now, which is really kind of tapping into that entrepreneurial spirit of yours, having had the espresso shop and stuff while you were active duty, in parlaying into what you're doing now. And I think what's really unique, we have a lot of guests on the show who've transitioned out of the military into all sorts of various fields, right? Some, going to work just for the big corporation or the government contractor, a lot starting their own business in all sorts of different fields. And so I think one of the things that's really cool, and I haven't talked about it yet on our podcast, but is what you're doing, which is your side gig with the biohacking and stuff like that. And in really, from a business standpoint, it's, a network marketing business. And that is a very viable business alternative And I think, you and I talked about it before. One of the cool things about any kind of network marketing business is the fact that you can scratch that entrepreneurial itch. You can start something that's your own, but you don't necessarily have like the overhead like you did with your espresso shop, right? You've got a lease, you've got payroll, you've got inventory, you've got all these hard costs that no matter what you do during the day, successful or not, you got to pay, right? And and network marketing is a way to be an entrepreneur, have your own business, and the majority of all that overhead doesn't exist.
Well, and I'll tell you, Jason, that's really what appealed to me. Having been a business owner, it cost me $50,000 just to get into this little tiny espresso stand that we had. And anybody that tells you that espresso stands are a gold mine has never owned one. Okay, so it was for me just a hobby. I was the milk and ice guy that took it down there. My wife was the one that ran it. She used to work for a coffee roaster before we bought that. So she's what I like to call a coffee sommelier. She can drink a cup of coffee and tell you what kind of beans are in it, what kind of roast it is. I mean, it's crazy. I'm just like, wow, okay, I can tell you if it's a good cup of coffee, but beyond that. So, having been in that business before, and then I had been a customer in different network marketing companies over the year. There's so many different companies out there, so many different fantastic products really that are out there. And it's great because you can pick a company that aligns with your passions. So one of the things I did when I retired, I was the epitome of the old fat colonel, right? So we've all seen them. And I was that guy, barely making tape and all that kind of stuff. And so I made a decision that I was going to lose weight. And I had talked to a friend of mine. I saw her. She was losing weight. We hadn't talked to each other in like 20 years probably, but saw her on Facebook, and she started doing keto. And I'd heard of keto, and I said, hey, what are you doing? And so she told me about how she was working with this company that produced keto products, and they did all these challenges and things like that. So I said, hey, let's try it. And so we got on there, and they had a challenge when we first started doing this. It was in September, and then they had a challenge that ran through Thanksgiving right up to Christmas. Well, let me just give you some advice. If you're going to start keto, that's probably not the time to do it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't start a diet during the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, I love stuffing, but we didn't get any stuffing that year. And but it was, my wife and I are very competitive. And so they had a 60-day challenge that went through that. And so I lost 25 pounds in 60 days to go through it, which was the amount of weight that I wanted to lose. Yeah, it blew me away. So I was like, wow, this is great. I lost so much weight to the point that my wife said, yeah, that's great. But she goes, you're looking a little frail. Okay. So no self-respecting Army combat engineer, lieutenant colonel wants to look frail. Right.
Right.
So by this time I had talked to, I developed a friendship with one of the spokespeople for this company. His name is Owen McKibben. He is a 17-time Men's Health cover model, and just a good dude, about 2 years younger than I am. And I said, hey, Owen, look, what about, we do a challenge for those of us, because it was all about weight loss, right? Everything's about weight loss. And I said, how about we do a challenge for somebody that see if we can't gain some quality weight using this keto thing. And so he said, yeah, it's a great idea. So we had weight loss, then we had fitness. And so I was the very first fitness champion in this company at 56 years old, because I went in and just tore it up. And then I'm the only 2-time fitness champion in the company, because I became the fitness champion again at 57 to go through and do that. So all that to say that was, and they were a network marketing company that was going through and providing these things. So I was exposed to the network marketing. It was great. The culture was fantastic. The products were fantastic. But a lot, it's a kind of a very narrow niche market to go in and do keto, because a lot of people are like, can't give up my carbs, all this kind of stuff. So it's very niche market. So business wise, I didn't really get all that involved, but it was like a gateway. Keto was like a gateway drug to me. And then I found this company that was talking about biohacking. And biohacking is just basically optimizing what our body can do through lots of different means, through nutrition, obviously, through cold therapy. People have seen that, the cold showers, cold tubs, red light therapy, infrared therapy, all these different things. I listened to a podcast by Ben Greenfield the other day. He was talking about music medicine and the vibrations and things like that. So some of this stuff was a little woo-woo for me, but there's a lot of things that are very, very actionable, very usable to go through and do that. So that I really went to that. And then I found a company that aligned with my passions. And then the business model that they had, it was one of the challenges I've seen with some network marketing companies is a lot of them are privately held. And so like any company that's privately held, you don't know if they're financially stable or how they are, because they are not required to make their financials public. This company I found is a publicly traded company. So they're on the S&P 500, I think. Maybe what you guys were talking about, but they are traded on the NASDAQ. That's what they are. So, okay. So they went in, this company rang the closing bell in January, and that's reserved for companies that are doing very, very well. So, and they have to make their financials public. So all those things for me, and they're, in compensation plan, they all have different compensation plans. And you have to, do your homework and figure out what works. So I was able to find something to align with me, but the network, to really get in and do the network marketing thing. I mean, the most I can spend to get initially involved with this company is $1,250. So to say that beats 50 grand and the downside is so much lower. So you said, Jason, I don't have any employees that I have to pay. I don't have a lease. I can do my business basically off of my iPhone, or if you're so inclined, your Android. But who does that?
Yeah.
But
we won't hold it against them.
It's just amazing. And the thing is, it's just simple, because all you're really doing is you're developing a distribution network, or you're developing customers that want to use your products. And it's simple. Now, is it easy? No, it's hard. A lot of people have a real negative view of network marketing, because there have been people in the past that have been slimy and just, going out and getting you on board and getting your money and then forgetting about you. That's why culture is so important when you're looking for a business that's out there. Any different company, you want to do the research and find out about the culture. If you're in a company where the culture is, well, we're in this team and we're focused only on our team, that's probably not where you want to be. The company I'm in and the company I was in before was, what we call cross lines and things like that. And anybody in different lines would help anybody else out. And because the beauty of network marketing is you're not successful unless you help other people be successful. And that goes back to that leadership thing I talked about a little bit earlier.
Right.
Is that you get people in there, you get the vision, you help bring them alongside. You're not going to be successful unless you help them be successful. And the other thing that's different in corporate America and things like that is that rarely are you going to be able to make more money than your boss does, or to pass your boss up, or things like that. It's doable, but it's rare. In network marketing, that kind of thing is encouraged. Yeah, make more money than me. Go to the next level, higher level than me, and I'll help you do it. And just that whole culture, that thing for me is what makes network marketing just a perfect choice for me to go through and do. Like I said, really anybody can get involved. I know some people that are very, very introverted, but yet still leverage social media and things like that to be very, very successful in the industry. It's been fantastic for me. I love it. And it's going to give me the flexibility I need, that if my daughter, I married her off in July, so I got them all married off, so I'm a success as a dad, and they moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and so I'm in Colorado Springs. That's a long ways away. But my wife said, well, if you have a baby, which they plan to have one, if you have a baby, then we'll move there and we'll help you with it, because she's an attorney and my son-in-law works for DOJ as an IT guy. And so what that did for me is really reinforced how important it is for me to focus on not, what is initially a side gig, because you go through and you start it out part-time, but you can go through and turn it into a full-time gig relatively quickly. 3 to 5 years, certainly, you're talking, definitely a good full-time income. A lot of people come in and say, well, this is a get rich quick thing. Yeah, no, it's more of like a get rich slow thing. Can you get rich? Absolutely. You got a lieutenant colonel friend of mine. We're going out there with he and his wife tonight. He retired, did some financial services stuff, and then he found network marketing, got involved with this company, and is making multiple 6 figures a year because he's just been consistent. Like any other business, anything else that we do, consistency is key, and you are going to find success. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's like anything. I mean, it's going to take hard work, right? No matter what type of business that you're in, it's hard work. It's that consistent effort, and it's getting uncomfortable. Right. And I think when you look at it, even if you read books about, entrepreneurship or success or leadership, a lot of it comes back to that similar theme of that getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Right. And
that's right.
And that's such like a kind of a cliche thing to say because you hear it so much nowadays. But the honest truth to it is, there isn't a network marketing business out there where, you're going to make 6 figures, right out of the gate. Like it takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and concentrated, focused effort. I mean, even doing it part-time, that part-time effort needs to be consistent and have that level of focus. Otherwise it'll be a nothing part-time gig,
Well, it's like any other business out there. And that's, so many people think that network marketing is different from other businesses. It's not. It's like you said, if you're not consistent in putting in the time you have to put in, no matter what business. I mean, my coffee stand, when we first got there, when we first bought it from these people, their employees, sometimes they'd show up at 5, sometimes they'd show up at 7, sometimes they'd show up at 8. That's the reason their business was going down. There was no level of consistency. Their customers, didn't know when you'd be open, if they could count on you or anything like that. So no matter what you do, whether it's a sandwich shop or whether you're selling cars or anything like that, it has to be consistent operations. People need to be able to count on you to do those kind of things. And for some reason, when people get into network marketing, they don't think they have to do that. One of the cool things that I love about our company is that we provide a lot of training. Sometimes I think an overwhelming amount of training. But the good news about that is you can pick and choose what you need and what fits your time schedule to go through and do those things. So, that's another thing you want to look for if you're looking for that. I get in network marketing. I don't have a clue. I mean, it was funny. I thought everybody had heard of network marketing, and I've been linking up with some people on LinkedIn, and the last 4 people I've talked to have never even heard of network marketing, which for me kind of blew my mind because, I've heard about it for, 20 plus years. So, it's new to them. And so the cool thing about that is there's no preconceived notions, and that if people are coachable, no matter what you do, you can teach them to do the things that are going to make them successful. As long as they're coachable, they do what you tell them to do. Because, one of the things, I'm not going to tell you to do something that's not going to make you successful, because as I mentioned, if you're successful, I'm successful. So I have a lot of buy-in to your success. So it's a great model.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's the name of the company that you're with now?
So I'm with a company called Life Vantage. The interesting thing about them, another thing that drew me in, is that they sell herbal products that are patented. It's very, very, very difficult to get herbal products patented. And they have to go through and show all the efficacy. They have to show, how they're so much different than everybody else. And they have gone through and using what's called the NRF2 proteins. And then they went in and developed this NRF1. And they've got 26 different peer-reviewed studies on PubMed.gov. So my understanding is less than 5% of the studies that are out there actually make it onto PubMed. They have 26 different independent ones, only 2 of which Life Vantage paid for. The rest were all independent people that went through and said, well, we want to, see whether this really works or not. And it's just blown people away. So it's been a lot of fun to see the science behind that. I'm a little bit of a science geek. I'm not like some of these medical people. I talked to this young gal. She got a physiology degree. And I said, hey, do you ever heard of PubMed.gov? She goes, yeah, I go there all the time for my degree. So she's been, going in and reading those and probably understanding those,
right.
those studies, unlike me, so, but so it's fun to go through because I don't have to go through. It's not like a Me Too kind of thing. The company I was with before is like, well, my protein shake's better than yours. My CBD oil is better than yours. This one, it's its own category because it's patented. Nobody else has anything like that to go out there. So those kind of things, you want to look at that kind of stuff in the market. Is am I going to have to go through and learn to market better because mine is like everybody else's? Am I going to have to find a way to differentiate myself, which is certainly doable? People are extremely successful doing that kind of stuff. For me, maybe not the smartest dude around, and it makes it easier to not have to go through and do that. Just have that own category of products to go through and sell. And again, selling is one of the things that we do anytime we're in business for ourselves. A lot of people think selling is a dirty word because they're used to the guys that are the hardcore salesmen, or you go and you buy a car and it's like, well, hardcore sale and you want this one and well, good, I've only got 30,000 to spend. Great, there's this car, it's only 50,000. Well, I said 30, so so people get a bad taste in their mouth for sales, but sales is important. Sales is what makes the world go round, and that's how the capitalist economy works. I'm a big fan of capitalism. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I think we're always selling ourselves, right? Whether it's in your dating life or trying to get that job in the interview, right? Even though you may not categorize it in your head as sales, so to speak, you always are. You're always selling, right? And so now you're
absolutely.
Now you're just shifting it to your business or your product. Why work with you? Why check out your product? Why join your team? And it's it's something that's, I think, innate in all of us. It's just kind of a categorical shift in our brain, as to where you apply it.
No, absolutely agree. And again, it really is just a mind shift to go through and do that. And a lot of it's about belief. It has to be belief in the industry itself, whether or not, as you and I both agree, is this a viable option to go through and really be in business for yourself? You are really an independent contractor, but you're building your own business, your own distribution network is out there. And that's phenomenal to be able to, because it's really unlimited. There are people in my company that have been with us for 11 years, which is as long as the company's been doing the network marketing model. And they are making 7 figures a year, multiple 7 figures a year. So the upside is pretty much unlimited. A lot of people, that just kind of blows their mind. For me, I'm like I get a 6-figure income and I'm good, right? But like everything else we do, but then I'm probably going to change my goals and change my perspective. Yeah. But to know that I'm in a vehicle and in a model that's going to allow at least the opportunity to try and get to those levels there, it's fantastic. But you got to get that mindset right, and to get that belief in the industry and in the company that you're with, whatever company it is.
Yeah. Nope, you're absolutely right. Well, Scott, I just want to thank you, man, for sharing your story with us. Thank you for your service. And I think this is such a great opportunity for people to consider, if they are looking at transitioning out of the military anytime soon. This is, something they could do it while they're in the military. It'd be a great side hustle while you're in the military.
Absolutely.
Because I have
several people on my team that are still in the Army. So yeah.
I mean, look at that network, and you're always meeting people and around people, and there's a real opportunity there. So you got to have the culture, the product, all that stuff like you were mentioning. So what's the best way for people to get connected with you if they want to ask some questions or kind of pick your brain on this?
Sure. They can email me at Scott with 2 T's at ketobiohacker.com. So KETOBIOHACKER.com. And then my website is ketobiohacker.lifevantage.com. Or I'll even put it out there. They can call me or text me on my cell at 360-790-7671. So, yeah, love to talk to you. Like I said, like it is a fantastic way. It's not for everybody, but nothing is for everybody. So, but we'd love to talk more to people out there if they're interested. Even if it's not my company, just talk about network marketing industry in general. So.
Awesome. Well, there you go, everybody. You got Colonel's private cell phone number. Well, I just want to say thanks so much for spending some time with us today and sharing your story. It was really, really inspiring. And I hope that it helped a lot of people, a lot of our listeners out there get some different insights, some different ideas. And Colonel, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on there. And again, the fact that you're out there doing this for all of our vets, I think is awesome out there. The fact that you're, are focused on the VA loans that you're doing in there, which is a fantastic way to go. I've always had a VA loan. The fact that you're like the VA loan guy down there, I think is awesome. And that tells me this is another way that you're helping our veterans and our service members. And I appreciate you doing that. Yeah,
absolutely. My pleasure. Love staying connected with everybody.
Absolutely.
All right, sir. Well, thank you. Have an awesome day. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Hey, thanks for checking out the episode. If you have any questions on anything we talked about today, feel free to reach out to me at valoanguy.us.